But you know, when you grew up on the south side of Chicago, you don't know what a trans, all you know is like sissy and and gay, like that's all you know. I bought a plane ticket and I came here with like $30. And yeah, I was homeless, I had no place to go.
$30?
I mean, I lived in shelters for about 2 years, but during that time I got myself into university, I studied theater.
Wow.
And literally those first 5 years were just spent working and getting fired from jobs because I couldn't get my ID changed and my ID said male and they would find out I was trans. Because a lot of this is rooted in what society thinks. If you date a trans woman, that means you're gay, right? And I think that scares a lot of men, even though they are very much attracted to trans women, you know? It's like, it's only natural. If you like women, why wouldn't you be attracted to me? I mean, that'd be ridiculous. Are you asking me who I attract?
Yes.
Everybody.
A lot.
Everybody.
No. I'm kidding.
Oh, yes.
Baby.
Even superheroes.
What's up?
Oh. What up? What up?
Hey.
What up, bro? What up, girl?
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Woo, welcome back. I'm glad y'all back. What's going on?
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm just hanging in the kitchen sweating, you know what I'm saying? Doing my thing, you know?
That's your passion.
What we got
Sean.
cooking?
Cotton candy, sweet and low, you gotta try these lobster rolls. Chopped steamed lobster meat, added mayonnaise, lemon juice, and melted butter on a toasted New England roll.
So I had a question for y'all. I would tell y'all a short story. Like, I had a teacher in high school. I couldn't talk to people. Like, I couldn't get out the words I want to say. Kind of like now, you know what I mean? But anyway, she told me if I was having trouble to write things down. So I started writing down what I wanted to say. And I saw later on that it was kind of like in story form. Wow. And so I figured out I like to write stories. So that's what brought me out here. So, and then for cooking, like all of my friends just like, you're so good at it, you should do it, you know what I mean? What is your story? We talk so much about journey on this show. So I'm really interested to hear more about you guys' journey.
Well, my
How
journey
you
is
got
very
here?
interesting because I feel like I'm a bit of a Renaissance man.
You are.
I've had a lot of different journeys and a lot of different paths. So leading up to this, I never thought I would be doing something like this. But
Right.
I always knew that there would be something in the beauty industry that would always draw me to it because of my aunt. And she was a salon owner and that inspiration that was there.
Look at that.
Sean, are you crying?
Nah, that's just the lights.
Okay.
I'm trying to, as you were talking, I was trying to think what was the inspiration. I think being the oldest of the generation, I didn't really have people to follow. Mm-hmm. So I think that gave me a lot of freedom to blaze my own trail.
Nice.
And people had a lot of expectations of me. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we respond to people saying you can't do something or you're not going to be something, and that fuels people to sort of reject that. Mm-hmm. I think mine was kind of the opposite, is that a lot is expected of you, and I felt up to the task.
Yeah.
And
Heard that.
Right.
A lot of people don't, you know?
I think you've done well.
Thank you. Thank you.
What about
Aaron?
I think I have a similar story. I would say that my pivotal point was failing my comprehensive exam in my PhD program. I had spent years thinking I would be a professor, completed the entire program. All I had to do was pass an in-class test and then pass a take-home test. I passed the more difficult part, the in-class, and did not pass the take-home part. I was devastated, and I did some soul searching, and I said, well, what is my heart telling me? Where's my passions right now? You know, what do I want to do? Because I said, if I spend a year preparing for this test and I pass it, and things go well, and what if I end up unhappy? Mm-hmm. I said, so my whole life could change in the next year if I pursue my passion.
Wow.
Right.
And I dropped out of my program and moved to LA and started pursuing entertainment.
Yeah.
And within a year, I landed a role in my first film. That was what led to the next thing, and so, you know, we're still going. We're still on the journey.
Still on the journey.
And you know who also has an incredible journey is our guest tonight, actress, singer, model, Alexandra Grey.
Wow.
Trailblazing actress and activist Alexandra Grey has been seen across major hit TV shows like Empire, How to Get Away with Murder, and MacGyver. As a transgender woman, Alexandra has been successful in portraying both trans and cisgender roles on stage and screen. Raised in foster care, Alexandra was bounced through 7 different foster homes. Once she embraced her sexual identity and came out, her disapproving foster parents forced her from their house, and she found herself homeless. With nowhere to go and no support, Alexandra lived in an LGBTQ homeless shelter, and through sheer determination, she was able to study theater at Cal State University Northridge, and then break into Hollywood to pursue her career. Alexandra was cast in the 3rd season of Transparent. The season went on to land the prestigious GLAAD Media Award, and later earned 7 Primetime Emmy nominations. Alexandra recently sang on Broadway in The Life, directed by Billy Porter. Whether on stage, screen, or in her real life, Alexandra Grey has been steadfast as an advocate for justice and equality.
You know, it's interesting because when we were over there talking to Sean, I talked about it through the lens of sort of family expectation, et cetera. And when I was 12, I had this core set of friends, and it was actually the betrayal of a friend at that age that made it really important for me to know that I needed to be clear about who and what I wanted to be, and I didn't have to do that alone.
Yeah.
And so, fortunately, I feel it's very fortunate that at 12 years old, I had that betrayal, and I had to make a decision, you know, what was going to be more important to me. How I saw me, what I wanted from the world, or what other people wanted. But when it came to that relationship with the friends and then who they needed you to be, you know, it's when you're in that age that so I don't do cliques well, I don't do any of that stuff. I'm a real solo roller.
At that age, you can go off the rails.
It can redefine your life for you.
Trying to fit in.
Absolutely.
That is the worst thing in the world.
Absolutely.
I got pregnant at 12.
See, there's something about 12, isn't it?
No, I was a mother at 12.
Oh, okay.
I got pregnant at 11.
Yeah.
So, and what was I being? A follower, trying to be liked and willing to do anything to be accepted.
So that's sort of exactly the flip side of what I'm talking about. Like in that moment, right, at that fork, do I succumb to what this clique or this group or what's being asked of me, or do I do something different? You mentioned getting pregnant at 11, and you mentioned following. Like, what was going on at that time for you?
The disconnect that something was not there with my mother. You shared last time with me, Chris, you said, hey, is it that she didn't want you? For the first time, I said, well, she couldn't afford me. But until that moment, it was always she didn't want me. But regardless, I still felt the same disconnect. And so at the very first time, it was about sex. I didn't have anybody to tell. And that person was showing me attention, and that's all that mattered.
Was
it
it another
a peer?
child?
Raped by a priest first.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Oh.
At 11?
at 11.
Was the
Well,
rape a precipitating event that maybe led to?
Then there was the 13-year-old preacher's son at the same time, Milton, who said, if you don't do the with me, I'll leave you.
Oh.
Yeah, and I did the with him, and he left me.
Was because of the experience with the priest, was it easier for you to say yes to
At 12
Milton?
years old, you know how formative that is? All I know, at 11, because it's a 12-year-old mother, all I know is I wanted to belong. I wanted some kind of connection. I wanted to feel something. That's why I asked what happened at such a formative age. Thank goodness you went the road where I'm not going to be the follower. I became that follower.
How old was Milton? 13?
13.
Milton was
said.
the father.
Yeah. Well, Milton, who father? Who knows? I never knew.
So you said it was like the first time of the rape.
The first time
so,
was the
so this was an ongoing.
It was kind of a simultaneous thing happening in that. But my point in saying this is the most important thing is that these messages, when you are so young, there's no guidance. We're told sex is so off. I mean, just to think, if you're only gay if you choose to, who you choose to have sex with. That's the most ridiculous thing in the world.
You know,
Right?
you just kind of one of my things, that whole idea. Because I say to people all the time, if I never had sex again, I'm still gay. So I
Oh, yeah,
really
you
don't.
did tell me that last.
Yeah, I really, for me, it's because I'm gay, and it's probably a very complex concept that I'm able to have sex with a man.
I see
It's
it.
not the fact that I have sex with a man that I'm gay.
I hear you.
That's probably
I'm
a
glad
whole
you said that.
nother,
And you know what?
whole
'Cause
nother
people,
perspective.
but this
That's a
is
great
why I'm putting it on
perspective.
people.
You know.
Like right now, like people will say, well, you got to be bisexual because you've been with a woman. Am I bisexual because I've been with a woman? I don't even try to figure this stuff out anymore. That's maybe 30 years ago. And so now I'm strictly dickly. I like, feel me? But I can't be straight because I had a woman. It's like, so people think, oh yeah, because you've been with a woman, you gay. You know, they think that sex element, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they do. People do associate it with sex, and I get that aspect of it, but I fundamentally believe that gay people are wired differently.
I hear you.
And we have access to other stuff. Like, I really do believe that we vibrate in a whole different space. And so for me, because of that vibration, it opens up things that just aren't of interest to other people, whether that's sexual or otherwise. I'm thinking about the industries that gay people dominate. I don't think that's because
Creativity.
they sleep with
That's
the
true.
same gender.
No.
agree.
You know what I mean?
I've always thought that there was a connection between my being gay and my creativity. I could never figure out what it is. I still don't know, but I hear what you're
We're
saying.
we're just unlocked and wired in a different way.
But at the same time, I push back to that to say that I believe that I don't believe in categories. I don't believe there's a gay person. I don't believe there's a straight person. I call it the sexuality spectrum. So we go from, let's say, complete homosexuality to complete heterosexuality.
Completely agree.
Everyone is on
Along
this continuum.
Absolutely.
And we're on there together. It's the sexuality continuum. if you wanna say that.
Absolutely.
And that's when
I totally agree with you there.
the last time we had the conversation.
So when we go ahead.
I said put a paper bag over someone's head and cut the lights out and crack your legs open.
You're gonna have a good time.
You can't tell me if you don't know who's between your legs that you're gonna. And so sex doesn't relate to being gay. It doesn't. It's not connected with that at all. It's love. Gay people, straight people, and whatever I am, we have an attraction to connection. That's what it's the connection.
That's a
right?
very good point. And I
Right.
think to your point, where we are in society now, I think all of those labels are falling. I choose the word gay for political reasons. I can stand boldly in that label because there's a political implication to that opens doors for other people. It's way more complex than the word gay, right? But we don't have time to
So
have
you're
that
saying
broad
you give
conversation
people
with everybody
freedom?
you meet.
Well,
give
yes, and I
people
know
freedom.
I agree with everything you guys are saying. And for me, I actually identify as bisexual. And so, and that for my journey was a big change, being attracted to both boys and girls and not understanding that, and then having to go through counseling and therapy to know that it was okay to be drawn to both. Because everything in society said, no, you have to make a decision. In the gay community, then it's often discounted as you gay, you don't,
You mixed
know,
up. They
yeah,
told me I
yeah,
was
whatever.
mixed up.
And then on the straight side, it was always that intimidation that you weren't going to be straight enough, and I'm going to have this sexual perversion that is attached to the idea of preferring both, and it definitely is what drove a lot of my life choices and directions that I had gone in. Yeah.
Have you, from your experience, had more discrimination from straight people or gay people because you're bisexual?
It depends on the environment, because at early part in my career, I was a bisexual person living a straight lifestyle. And then I became a bisexual person living a gay lifestyle. So that it was the lifestyle choice that I elected. So that's what I tell people, that's the choice. When people say, you have a choice, the choice is your lifestyle choice, not what is inside and what you desire.
I was told I was up. They told me, they said,
what?
they said you
Effed
are
up.
really mixed up.
Oh, okay.
They said you worse than all of us. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's
There's a
why.
lot
Based
of
on
discrimination against
Well,
bisexuals.
because I was dealing with men, and
women.
then I started dealing with women.
Oh, I got it. Okay, that
And
makes sense.
it was the 70s. It was sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
On that, Cheryl, we're going to take a break and come back. This has
on.
been a very interesting
Hey,
conversation.
deep here. Feeling it.
Right, I didn't even touch my.
Yeah, I
It
know.
is
Y'all
so
tell me not
good,
to
by the
eat.
You
way.
know I eat, so.
You know I be wanting to eat.
Bisexuals, y'all, let me tell you, this is something very recent in my life because I've always been kind of insecure because not being the masculine, manly man in gay spaces, I'm not desirable. So I'm always like insecure, I'm like not big enough and, you know, strong enough and all that. But lately, I have found that bisexual men find me attractive because I will even like do the makeup. I got hit on one time, actually wearing like red lipstick out to a bar by a bisexual black man. And that was like the first time that, you know, usually I have to hide that part of me if I'm doing makeup and doing feminine stuff, because you know how it is. It's like
Danger.
that's worse than being
Life.
gay.
Danger.
Being effeminate as a man in the black community is literally the worst thing you can be. And it's the same way out at the gay clubs. It's like, you know, I had a boyfriend once. Why do you switch? And I'm just walking. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just walking. So I'm so used to that. But lately it is bisexual. And I thought about it. I was asking him. He was like, yeah, I like the feminine side and I like the masculine side. So it's like,
Just kind of what
Well,
Chris
I
was
think you
saying.
got,
Hello.
now you got a little thick now, so them hips might be part of the reason why.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
So.
maybe.
But yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily that effeminate thing. I mean, I hear what you're saying because that definitely is something very prominent in the black gay scene. But then you have those guys that are actually drawn to that. So for me, it's often a struggle when people see that in me and it's not something that I desire. I'm not interested in that role in the relationship. But then I also attract guys often who are uber masculine or who behind closed doors, there's a different role that's played. They want a person who may be presenting like yourself in public so that then that way they have that perception of you on their arms to the world, but then behind closed doors, they want something totally different.
I'm so glad you mentioned behind closed doors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I had a guy, and the love of my life actually, and he, behind closed doors, he was free to be. And I remember saying to him, if you need me to touch any hole, like I'm okay with that.
What did he say?
Any of
I mean, he let go.
And what do you mean let go?
I mean, I touched all the holes.
Oh.
I'm trying to keep it.
What are you trying to keep?
Like,
I'm trying to. Now
we keep it authentic.
We get it.
Well, no, we can't. It's cancel culture. I can't. No, but it's the truth, and that's one of the things I told you all last time. My guy went to prison very young. I mean, fine as age wine, like for real. And when he came home, he had experiences in prison. And when he came home,
was this the one you were telling what to do when he was in there and how to release and
yes,
relax? And
most definite.
Well, you know what?
Took a lot of pressure in the joint.
You know what I would love to
he took
do?
a lot of pressure in
In the joint, yeah. And then
Wait. I think I hear something.
free.
Okay.
Our guest is here.
Hello.
And I would love to pick
is
this
it?
up with her being transgender. I wonder if she attracts a certain type of person, type of guy.
Okay.
Let's find out.
Wow.
Sounds good.
Wait a minute. I gotta still eat the food.
Hi. How are you?
Welcome.
Should I hang this here?
Yes, right here.
Okay.
Welcome to the house.
Hello. Hi. Are we hugging or elbowing? It's COVID.
Okay, I know it's COVID. Okay.
COVID. Hi. We do a little elbow. Make it safe.
I
All
love
right.
it.
Hello.
Beautiful.
What are you guys
Yes, yes.
eating?
Welcome.
Hey.
So we are just talking about dating and who we attract. And
Right.
I know
We
were-
right at the top of the right.
yes,
Are you asking me who I attract?
yes.
Everybody.
A lot.
Everybody.
Hello. Oh yes.
Baby.
Even superheroes.
Well, so let's can we get detailed?
Beautiful.
Okay, well, I mean, as a trans woman, I think I attract the typical straight man, if you will.
Do you have like a racial divide of it's all races or is it one race?
Oh, I think it's all races, but typically black men.
Okay.
They love a beautiful brown-skinned woman. So, I mean, come on, why wouldn't they? So yeah, I think typically that, but for me, I don't discriminate. I like all men. of
No,
all
no,
races.
never
But I
women?
do love a black man. I'm sorry.
Never women?
Um,
I have a young person I'm thinking. No, I'm just
well, I've been with trans men before. But I've never been with a woman. But you know, I'm open.
Role model how to stay
What you
open.
presenting?
You know, I'm open-minded because I can tell you that these straight men, they do work up a nerve when it comes to dating trans women because everybody's so afraid of what. Oh, food.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's for you, boo.
Hello.
That's for you.
Oh, I feel special.
You are.
Cognac lobster and lobster mac. Lobster and cognac cream sauce combined with mac and cheese. Granny will be proud. If this mac and cheese don't comfort you, the cognac definitely will.
It's delicious.
Thank you, Sean.
It's just thank you, Sean.
Awesome.
Back to what you were saying.
So these cishet straight men that are attracted to you,
Yeah.
do they know that you're transgender?
But
Well-
they get an attitude.
Well,
and
to
stuff.
me, I always make it a
fabulous.
mission to like say it up front. Like, you know, if I meet a guy at a bar, I'm not gonna, you know, tell him at the bar because, you know, a lot of men, this fragile masculinity thing, you
Yes.
know, it gets a lot of these girls killed. So, you know, to me,
baby.
I always tell guys up front, but never like in person because you just have to protect yourself. But
Yes.
typically, I don't get rejected. So when they find out, as long as they find out in private, then they typically don't mind. But, you know, I'm older, so I don't have time for no DL.
We were just talking about behind closed doors, sort of
Right.
the difference in conduct behind closed doors
were
versus
just at
publicly.
that.
Is that something you have to navigate with these men?
Yeah. I think in the beginning, I just wanted to feel like a woman. I just wanted to be,
You are a
you know,
woman, baby.
desired. Oh, thank you. But as I get older, it's just like I don't have time for that. So I'm very selective. If you are even questioning whether or not, you know, you want to be with someone like me, I just don't really have time for it. You know, because a lot of this is rooted in what society thinks. You know what I mean? And like, if you date a trans woman, that means you're gay, right? And I think that scares a lot of men, even though they are very much attracted to trans women. You know, it's like, it's only natural. If you like women, why wouldn't you be attracted to me? I mean, that'd be ridiculous.
Exactly.
So,
Love it.
yeah.
Exactly. And I loved you when you said fragile masculinity. That's some powerful words together there. Because what you're saying is you cannot let go. This society has driven you so in a cave that you are fitting in this tight box that's squeezing you that you just cannot let yourself be free.
And
that's
you brought
really
up
sad.
the murders of trans women, and I've
baby.
often heard people almost blame them for not disclosing as if they caused it.
Like they're tricking, like they're
absurd.
tricking, man,
And
or
even
something.
if there is tricking going on, that is not a reason to kill a person.
And you
When
know why?
What trick are you talking about?
You know why though?
No, tricking, like if you deceive or just not, it's not even deception. It's if you don't disclose
okay.
that you're transgender at the point when a person finds out, if you lose interest, then you've lost interest. It should end right there.
Yeah, but even still, it's not that trans women are not disclosing. These men know. Okay, like a person
was
that
getting ready to say.
a lot of the girls that get killed, they look just like me. And a lot of people would say that I am passable in the
Oh,
world.
you are
And
flawless,
so-
baby.
Well,
Pass.
hey,
have a
hey,
crush.
friend.
Oh Lord, in my younger days, I'm so glad that I've grown older.
Well, what I'll say is that a lot of the girls that are getting killed by these men look like me, and I don't have to deceive a man. Like, I mean, like, I have options.
Yes, you
so
do.
these men know that these women are trans, and the problem is they don't want anyone else to know. So it's like, I'd rather people not know that you and I hooked up, so I'd rather kill you in order to protect the secret
Now, that
and
is
then
so
deal with
sick.
the consequences. It's ridiculous.
And that's what I was getting ready to say too. To look at you, I mean, let's face it, a man's is gonna get hard or it's not gonna get hard. And the moment that a man will look at you and then they will get an attitude at the fact that their body reacted.
Is responding.
This is, yes. And so now they want to strike out and be angry and make you the problem because your physical body had sensation. That's why we got to get out of these
Boxes.
mindsets.
The boxes and the labels. We're all human. We're all attracted to other humans.
And which is why who you have sex with does not make you gay. If it feels good, I've had different people have, it under, below the belt, and it didn't feel right. I'm like, get up.
Right?
Well,
You feel me?
sweetheart, you actually
If it feels
seem
good, it feels
very
good.
secure in your being and yourself, and I love that. What was the support system that you had that allows you now and at this stage to be so bold and confident and
sitting in all this power.
Exactly.
Well, I'm very weird, I always say, because I grew up in foster care. I've been in like 7 foster homes. And so, my life is not supposed to be this. I was supposed to be into drugs and like all this and crime. And that just was never me. I just was always wired differently. I listened to like Hillary Duff when I was 13.
Right.
And I was a black boy listening to Hillary Duff. Like,
Right on.
like it's weird. And so to me, I don't know, but what has kept me, I think, grounded is I always equated like success with showing people that I'm going to be more than what you think. So to all of my foster parents that mistreated me and all the people that said I was just going to be a stereotype, it was like, I'm going to show you. And so it started off with me like coming to LA and being like, I have something to prove. But then it was like overall, I just found myself and found out that I just love to do what I'm doing, and it makes me happy, and that just keeps me grounded.
You are a role model for so many to say. And for who is right now where you were at 9 and 10, what was that moment, or 12, when you said, I'm not going to be a statistic?
I mean, it's hard to kind of pinpoint because all the earlier foster homes were just horrible. I mean, we're talking like, y'all seen Precious, right?
Yes.
Like, that's a real thing. That was very real to kind of what I was experiencing. And
Are you able to go into detail about, so some people don't know the types of experiences people may go through in the foster system?
yeah, in one of the foster homes, my foster dad used to sexually abuse me and was very violent, and it was just chaos. I think I was a sophomore in high school, a freshman in high school, and I remember being so miserable. I used to take the bus in Chicago. I used to just take it for hours and hours because I was dreading going home, and I remember being that young, feeling all that chaos and just like, and it was very depressing back then. But I don't know, I just always saw for myself that there has to be more than this. And I think that when I look back now, I'm like, if I would have stood in my power and said, hey, you don't get to hit me. You don't get to touch me, right? And not believe what they were saying would be the consequences. Oh, you're gonna go to a group home and you'll be raped. It's like, no, like, don't touch me. Like, I would have stood up for myself more. And so I would just say that to people right now, like kids now that are being abused, it's like, fight back.
That's right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to take it. Like, there is a system there that could protect you if you are strong enough and believe that to say something. And so that's kind of what I wish I would have done. But
we go through it so you can sit here at this table and tell everybody that, how many will you inspire now to say, hey, you ain't hitting me no more, and you ain't coming in my bedroom no more after they see this.
Yeah.
We thank you. Ooh. I'm the crier. I can't cry. I can't. I'm not gonna do it.
How did you go from Chicago to the big screen?
Well, that was like 10 years ago. It's my 10-year anniversary in LA. And once I came out as gay first because I thought that would be easier. And then my family disowned me.
Can I ask a question about that? Because that's an interesting statement. You were actually conscious in making that choice of gay because you thought it was easier? Can you talk a little bit more about that decision?
Yeah, I thought that, okay, well, gay is like a thing where it's like I'm not changing anything about myself, my appearance. It's just I'm just identifying that way. And I thought that would be cool, but my family wasn't cool with that. So they kicked me out. It started with like the church. You can't sing in the choir anymore. And then
Was it a black church?
Oh, yes, it was.
Oh.
And it was our family church. So.
Got to stop being so judgmental.
I know.
Churches.
Going back to that thought, so I don't want to assume, were you already thinking of yourself from a gender perspective in a different way? Because when you say you made the choice to be gay as opposed to identify as a different gender, or
Yeah,
where were
I
you
mean,
going with that?
I always knew something was different. But you know, when you grew up on the South Side of Chicago, you don't know what a trans. All you know is like sissy and gay. Like that's all you know. But I always knew it was something more. I mean, I was like putting shirts on top of my head at 4, walking on my tippy toes, and like so something was weird about me when I was younger. But I just didn't have the language for it. But also from that time until my last year of high school and my first year of college, I really didn't have time to think about what it was that was going on because I was too busy dealing with all the in my home.
Yes.
So it really wasn't until I got into high school and I saw Top Model and my friend Isis King, she was on there and I was like, oh my gosh, that's me.
The power of the media.
That's me, you know? That's the power of this, is that people get to see themselves and it's like, wow, that's how I identify, so.
And then?
Yeah, the family disowned me when I came out as gay, so I said, well, can I curse?
Edit it out, baby.
Sorry, I don't know if this is like a church show or something.
Oh, wait, but hold that thought, because we need to take a quick break.
Okay, good.
And then we're gonna come back and we'll let you take a breather and
Get some. That filet is delicious,
Yes.
too.
Are you enjoying your food?
I am. You know, I
Excellent.
like a little bit more well-done steak, but this is great, actually.
So
Now
burnt.
you like it chocolate. Nothing wrong with that.
Totally brown.
Hi, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, wow. This is beautiful.
Oh, here you are daring to be different. Look at you. We love your look.
This is delicious. What is it?
So what I have for you all today is a little bit of Smirnoff vodka mixed with lime juice, simple syrup, and bubbly lime club soda. And this is called Color the Future. And it's for the trailblazer that's challenging the status quo.
Our own trailblazer at the table at the house. Cheers.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be
Cheers.
portrayed as a trailblazer?
I mean, I'm very weird. I don't look at myself that way, but you know,
Special.
I
You're not weird,
understand the role. I understand that the power that we have as creatives and artists to, you know, kind of inspire other people and make change. You know, I get messages all the time from other trans people that are like,
Youngsters?
that message me on Instagram and say, oh my gosh, you know, you're such an inspiration, or oh my gosh, I see myself, and people who wanted to commit suicide. Like, it's real, it's a real thing. So I feel super privileged. It's a huge responsibility, and I'm proud to take that on any day, so.
You're chosen.
So you get hit up on Instagram, you inspire people. How would you tell someone who's struggling, maybe homeless, maybe just not making ends meet, and they want to get to where you are? What was that journey like for you, from going homeless to Hollywood?
Well, when I got disowned by my family, that left me homeless in Chicago, and this was sort of getting into the winter, and so I was just kind of like searching for places to go, and someone said to me, they're like, you know, you should go to LA. You're very funny. You should just go and be like an actor, and it's warmer there. So I did. I did. It was cold in Chicago. And so I bought a plane ticket, and I came here with like $30. And I was homeless. I had no place to go. $30.
Courage.
Yep. And I lived in a shelter. So my first night here, I slept in the LGBT shelter, the center. You guys probably know what that is.
LGBT.
And I lived there for about 30 days, and then I like transitioned. Like sometimes I was on the street, and like sometimes I didn't have a bed. But for me, like I always knew the first day that I got here, I said, God, give me a sign that this is where I'm supposed to be. And literally the night that I had landed, I had gotten an email that said, congratulations, you've been selected to be in this movie as a background extra.
How'd you do that from Chicago?
Well, on Craigslist. Craigslist used to be like the spot for us actors back then.
Yeah.
And personals. But, you know. And so it used to be the place for actors to find like background work, audience work. And so that was my first gig. And so the second day that I was here in LA, I was on a movie set and doing background, and they it was like 20 background extras, and they asked 3 of us to audition for a speaking line, and I was one of the 3. I didn't get it, but of course it went to somebody white. But I'm joking. But I'm not. And I didn't get it, but I just knew that was the sign from God that I was supposed to be here. And so in between that, I mean, I lived in shelters for about 2 years, but during that time I got myself into university, I studied theater.
Wow.
And literally those first 5 years were just spent working and getting fired from jobs because I couldn't get my ID changed, and my ID said male, and they would find out I was trans, and it was like trying to do that and get on my feet. And then about 2016 is when everything changed. 2015 was like the year I auditioned for American Idol. I made it like all the way to the end. I was supposed to be on the show, the first trans person on the show, and then that pulled the plug. Auditioned for a Lee Daniels project, got all the way down to the rope, didn't get it. And it was like, it was the year that everything felt so close. And then 2016 happened, and it was like 6 guest stars on primetime, and I don't know, it's just been like a journey ever since. So, I mean, I don't know, I tell people that it can happen. There's no roadmap to any of this. You know, if you just want to do it, you just have to believe that you can and do it and do the work. And so,
How much does your faith play a role? You mentioned God and praying.
yeah, well, I mean, I've been a little bit scarred from the church because of everything that I went through
We
with
got to
them.
make sure that changes.
Yeah.
That's got to change.
Yeah. And so, but my personal relationship with God is really important. And so to me, I've always prayed. I've always listened to gospel and Christian music, and that's kind of what keeps me grounded. But yeah, it's always been this belief that, and Oprah said it, she said, I'm living in God's dream for me. And so
Say
that's
that
kinda,
again. Oprah said what?
She said, I'm living in God's dream for me. And that's really what I feel like. I feel like all of this happened because when I first transitioned, it was about, I just wanted to blend in. I just didn't want anybody to know. And when I came here, I just wanted to be famous. I just wanted to be a star, you know? And then it changed.
So you mentioned music. So music and American Idol, so music is a very important part of your inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay, is there someone in your journey that inspired you or some connection to?
Well, CeCe Winans is like my favorite artist of all time. If you listen to me sing, like I take all her stuff. And she's a gospel artist, and she's just great. And she was what really got me through high school when I was in foster care. It was like listening to her. And even to this day, so she's like my biggest inspiration music-wise.
Wow.
And I feel like God has taken me back because, you know, this year I got to go to New York and do the encores with Billy Porter.
Woo!
And
That's big, girl. That's big.
So it's like I love music, and I feel like I'm getting to do both with what I'm doing. And I also did Empire, so you know, I love that I get to do both of the things I love.
Did you know you had such faith along the way?
No. There were times where I really hated God, and I really was like, you know, it looks great on the outside, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like.
Right.
Thank you.
Like there are times where I'm like, this trans, I wish I could just take it off. I wish I could just throw it away. I wish I was just a normal person. That every time I walk into a room, people don't look at me and be like, oh, that's the girl with the between her legs. Like that's the perception that I feel, and I feel like everybody thinks that, and you know, so there's some times where it's really hard.
You talked about being in the shelters for 2 years, and shelter life is not easy
At all.
And I'm curious as to how do you stay focused? Because you did a lot of things in that 2 years, because I think a lot of times people get caught up in trying to just survive that environment and lose sight of where they're trying to go. What was driving you?
I think it was the fact that I had no backup plan. You know, there was no family to go back home to. So it was like, I gotta make something happen here. So I remember seeing other people in the shelter that didn't do anything. They just took the resources and just didn't really use them. But for me, it was like I took advantage of the scholarship programs, and that's how I went to school. And you know, I was always like, I have to do this. And while I don't have to pay rent, you know, I might as well work as much as I can and save as much as I can so I can get my own place. So I really took advantage of, because there are a lot of resources out here that people don't know about. And I just always knew, I've always been very proactive. And so, to me, I took advantage of that. So I never got distracted. And of course, there were things that happened in there. There were traumatizing things that happened, and you just keep moving. I just always had this vision for myself. I'll be the up there at the Oscars, like with my Oscar, and be like,
just like
I
Billy
always
Porter,
knew this
right?
was gonna happen. I just didn't know when.
So Billy is definitely your inspiration, correct?
Yeah, Billy's great.
So we're going to take a little break. We come
okay.
back.
We'll
We
start
would
right
love
in
to hear
Billy
about
Porter.
Billy.
Better believe wow.
And more of your journey.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
I would love to hear you talk a little bit about how changing the status quo, because what's really awesome is watching you as a transgender actress, but not exclusively being booked for transgender roles. Like, what does that feel like?
Well, I've only played a non-trans character once.
Okay.
Out of my entire career so far, which is a shame.
Yes.
But that was How to Get Away with Murder with Viola Davis, and I knew the showrunner and the creator, Peter Norwalk, and I knew they had been looking to cast a Black trans woman on the show. So that was cool to get to do that, and I just want to do that more. I'm obviously very grateful for all the opportunities that I've had, and I love playing trans characters and telling those stories because I don't want people to forget about us. I want people to know who we are. But I would love for them to be more nuanced. I'd love for them to be series regulars. I'd love for them to have full stories and to be loved and desired. And that's kind of what I did with the movies that I did last year. I did 2 feature films where I have romances in the both. And I really fought to have love scenes and to have everything that cis women get to have.
So you're writing your own projects?
Well, yeah, I've started creating my own projects. So I'm currently in like shopping deals that I can't talk about. But yeah, I've started writing because I wanted to see the stories that really reflect, who I am and the women that look like me. Wow. And so, and you can't wait. You can't wait on Hollywood or anybody to give you a chance.
Levy.
Wait, can I get controversial?
Yeah.
The idea of a trans woman playing a cis woman, it almost plays into the narrative that I hear, particularly among Black women, that they feel that trans women are trying to replace them. It's a very...
I was thinking the same thing, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Very touchy area.
Yeah, I'm interested what Alexandra thinks.
Who's good for the part?
I want to just add on to his question, because when you were talking, I thought the exact same thing. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm also wondering, when you go for roles, are you looking, do you look and say, okay, they're looking for a female actress, they're looking for a trans person, and you feel like, I'm going to read for both of those. Like, how do you deal with this idea of what Aaron's talking about, Black actresses feeling like trans women are, quote unquote, taking their roles?
Well, I don't necessarily get to be choosy, so I
hear you.
You know how it is. I'm Black and trans and queer, so it's like
pigeonhole.
You get whatever is offered, and a lot of times I don't really get brought in for Black projects, and I don't know why that is, but I just think that who I am is so normal and so just like you, you know what I mean? That I think that scares people. So if they can't tell that you're trans, if you don't look, quote unquote, trans, it's like, well, what do you have to offer? And then it goes into your question about, replacing cis women. I think it's just a false narrative. I think people just are afraid of change. Look at what's happening with Lil Nas X. It's like people are we don't want him performing at the BET Awards because this is a family show. When has the BET Awards ever been a family show? Stop. It's like, let's just say that you're homophobic and you're transphobic and nobody's here to take over. I don't want to identify as a cis woman. I know I can never have children at this point. So I don't want to replace anybody, but I just want to exist. And what does me existing affect how you exist?
I'm going to say I was raised, when I took this seat, you could imagine it's been a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't suggest just any Black woman could come sit at the table with, let's be real.
Thank you, Cheryl. That's a compliment.
What you say?
No, any old Black woman won't do.
Right.
Baby, it's the truth now.
We just have to have the craziest Black woman.
It's the truth. Look, ain't nobody, but in the beginning, when Aaron's known me for years, my first boyfriend had sex change, and I was raised by gay black men. They didn't drag for a show, baby. They had to drag every day. And you want to talk about pretty? And look past all the time, okay? And got butchered. My generation took the butchering so it could transpire today. Okay. So I am here to stand in the gap and say, without gay black men who were trans, who went through that, I wouldn't be who I am today. And so it's not about replace. It's about we are all here together, unique experiences, unique people, and we need to all embrace. And I say to our brothers, when you see a woman, or if you see a man, and your ding dong gets hard, go for it. Go for it.
With that, we're going to go to break.
Damn, come out the box.
We're going to go to break, and we'll be right back.
Live your life.
Oh, no, don't go for it.
Live your life.
You just said go for it. I do want to ask you a question. This is a very serious question.
Ooh.
Because the conversation we were having about cisgender women and their views is so serious. I think,
There you go. I have a creme brulee for you guys. Enjoy.
Creme brulee, French for burnt cream. A blowtorch is used to caramelize a creamy custard. This dish is crispy, creamy delight.
So Cheryl,
Yeah.
another statement that I've heard a lot of people say is this cisgender term that is kind of recent for a lot of people. They're like, I'm not a cisgender woman. I'm just a woman. And I've never heard you say something like that, and I'm wondering how you feel about it.
It was only one term when I was in the gay bars. I was just gay.
We're talking about being a woman. Now, cisgender, you would be a cisgender woman.
Today.
Yes. Yesterday, you.
And but in the past, it was just gay straight, you know, all these terms. Just to hear cisgender woman. I heard somebody major just got a little flack for saying that. Somebody major said that she was, and then...
She's proud to be a woman, Adele, probably.
Did she say cis? I've never even heard of that.
So that's the conversation. A lot of women they're uncomfortable or resisting using this term cisgender, and that's why they say, we were just women.
But again, when and who decided that they needed to be called cisgender?
What's the
women
rationale behind
instead
that?
of just saying women? Now we've just added 2 more words to one word. Now that there's transgender women, we now have to over-identify you as a cisgender, because now we've got to add gender to your woman, when we don't have to do that.
So my response would be, it's simply about extending grace to people and including people in the life that a lot of people have been comfortable to live. They don't have to have their identity questioned. And so to distinguish transgender women and cisgender women and say that these are all women, it's just including, instead of denying someone's existence and saying, well, we're gonna ignore you all over there. We are the women, you all are something else.
Well, I think it's really simple, right? I think it's just, no one's asking you to call yourself a cisgender woman. That's just if I'm in a conversation with the house, okay, and I'm having a conversation and I'm gonna say, well, she's a cisgender woman and I'm a trans woman, because I'm not gonna say she's a woman and if I'm not a woman, what does that make me? So it's really not this complicated. I think it's more so just saying, you can identify however you want. I don't feel like the trans community is saying we want to change the term of woman. I think that's just saying, that's a way of being like, you're a cis woman and I'm a trans woman. That's just, I think it's just terms. I think people are making it much more complicated than it has to be. This is not to take away from women at all. It just...
And I don't see it as a takeaway at all. It's an addition. It's adding this terminology of cis, when if I've been a woman all of my life and I've understood that I'm a woman.
It's a clarification, because when people think of women, they have an idea, however long that idea of what a woman is has existed. So these new labels help clarify what we're talking about. So an assumption doesn't have to be made when you're talking about woman. So if we think about it not so much as an addition, but an attempt to clarify, like when you described it, you were clarifying a distinction. It doesn't take anything away. And if you don't want to identify in that particular way, no one's saying you have to identify that way. So it's ways to clarify.
Yes.
It's ways to promote understanding that can then lead to inclusion. Because you don't just jump to inclusion, right? Half the times people's brains are going, what the hell are we talking about? What the hell are they talking about? You know, I thought a woman has always been in my day. Right?
No,
so when we use new language, that's why the dictionary grows every year.
That's true. And this is
every
what
year
I
it grows. Why?
It does. Bootylicious is in
Because we have to put new words to help us be able to communicate in a way that we understand each other.
I believe the cis was inferred, and I guess that's the last point I want to make about it, is that the cis was inferred when you just use the term women. And so and now it's the idea of, it's clarifying.
Yes.
But for all of this time, it had been inferred. And so they were taking away the inference of it, and now saying, and now we've got to clarify.
Because it can no longer be what you thought it was.
Exactly.
And on that, we're going to say goodbye to Alexandra.
Telling me
We are going to have
my
to.
dessert.
No, you can hang back with us and finish it. But
good.
listen,
Yeah.
listen, we're so glad you came. We're going to have you back. And we want you to know that once you come to the house, you are what? Family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.